Okay, so let's work on creating an update method whereby we can allow the client to update their information. So the client can update their information. Okay, so let's create our method. Of course, user model, and we will call it update. And we expect that a user is to be passed in, okay? And we will simply return an error. Okay, so again, this is rather straightforward. We will create a query. Okay. So we will update the users table, and we will set name to be $1 placeholder, email to be $2 placeholder, password underscore hash to be $3, activated to be $4, and version to be version +1, similar to what we did for schools. Okay. And of course, we need to specify where. So where the ID is $5, and the version is $6. And of course, we will be returning the version. Okay, so optimistic locking like we did to avoid any race conditions from occurring. Okay, so I have my args, of course, interface. Okay, so I think I have this already. Let me grab this since I don't want to retype everything. Right. So we will have a user that name, user, okay, my slice, yes, user that name, user that email, user that password hash, activated, user that ID, and user that version. Okay, great. So we have all of that. Let's go ahead and create a context. Again, something that we're used to. So context that with timeout. And we will say context at background, and we will have a timeout of 3 seconds. Okay, so after we have that, we will defer the calling of the cancel function. And after we have done that, we can go ahead and actually perform the execution of our query. So error will be m.db.query row context. We'll pass in the context, we will pass in the query itself, and then of course we'll pass in the arguments. and whatever is returned, which is the version, we will store that in the version field. Okay, now let's do a bit of work. We need to check for error. Specifically, we need to check that by updating their information, the user has not tried to duplicate their email. So it's similar to what we did. So in fact, it's exactly like what we did. So instead of having to retype all of this, I will simply take it and I will copy it. Okay, let's try again. Let's copy and let's come all the way down here and let's use that. Save ourselves some typing. Okay, so again, we will check to see if it's a duplication of the email error. If it is, we will return the error duplicate email. Otherwise, we'll simply return the error. Now, if there are no errors, then everything went well, and then we'll simply return nil, just like what we did earlier. Okay, and that takes care of our update function, and that actually takes care of our user model. So what I want to do, I want to take our user model and I want to include that in our models.go file. Okay, so remember we have our models here. So all I'm going to do is to add a new model called users of type user model. All right, that's straightforward. And so the function that creates a new model will actually now have to create two models, one for schools and one for users. And of course, we must specify our DB connection. Okay. Okay, and that's it. That's all we need to do. And so let's run our server just to ensure that we did not break anything. So let's quickly go run ./cmd/API. Okay, and it still works. We did not break anything. And so what I will do now, I will go ahead and I will do a commit, and then I will push to GitHub. Now, in the next lesson, we will be moving to our other file where we will be creating our routes and ensuring that we are able to have the client call the endpoint that allows them to create or register a new user. So that's what we'll do next. I'll see you in that next lesson.